Okay, hey guys. The reason I'm doing this video is because everybody always talking about the importance of honoring your ancestors, honoring your ancestors, honoring your ancestors. Um, and I do mean everybody. Everywhere you turn, the first thing I always tell you is to honor your ancestors. Even Jesus honored his ancestors. There's a part in the New Testament where he's talking to the spirit of Elijah and my brain went blank. But anyway, he's talking to the spirit of Elijah and somebody else when one of the apostles walked up to him. And what people don't really know is that's him honor his ancestors by keep open communication. So even in that way, even the Bible, shows you to honor your ancestors. And you have, well, of course, in the pagan community, it always tells you to honor your ancestors. Now, with that being said, what I don't hear people talking about a lot is how do you honor your ancestors, connect to your ancestors if you're adopted, if you're an orphan, if you never knew your direct bloodline. How do you honor your ancestors then? So, personally, I have to tell you how I honor my ancestors. My family's not very close, not in the least, so I only know certain members. But because of the way that I was raised mostly Roman Catholic, and a lot of stuff I learned on my own. I'm gonna tell you how I went and start honoring my ancestors and start finding out other ancestors. Oh, excuse me. And through doing this, only thing I probably was able to do that maybe you won't be able to do is that I was able to confirm with family members if this particular person was an ancestor, if this particular person was a family member. But your spirit guides, before I just did that, just to, confirm, because once you get to that level, your spirit guides will tell you. So the first thing I would suggest doing is making an altar to your higher self. Everybody would say your first ancestor is your direct bloodline, but I kind of have my own views on that, only because I feel as though my first ancestor is my higher self, that part of me that's in the spiritual realm, that's experienced this life through me, that's helping me to remember the soul agreement that I made. That's helping guide me and helping me keep on track with whatever I so desire. So, to make you understand, when you have a desire, your desire goes directly to your higher self. And your higher self lines it up so that desire is there for you once you in this life, emotionally, physically, and mentally are ready for it. And once you're ready, and saying that your higher self, I'm not saying that your higher self is the creative, universal, all-knowing, but it is more connected to it than you are in this 3D world, in this manifested life. So with that being said, when you make an altar to your higher self, one, you are now consciously showing recognition to the fact that there's something higher there, the spiritual realm. And you're always connected to your higher self, whether you know it or not. That's where your intuition comes from. But now you're making an effort to consciously recognize that and to build upon it. So when you start doing that, you want to make an altar to it. So this is not a higher self altar. This is actually an altar I use for filming and divination. But again, in saying that, what you do is you clear a space. It doesn't have to be this large. It could be like small. It doesn't have to be big at all. Just clear a little space. And anything that stands out to you, put on it. It's totally up to you. And it's the reason why it's totally up to you. You want to put anything there. If you want candles on it, put candles on it. If you don't want candles on it, don't put candles on it. Mind you, this is a higher self altar. So it's between you and your higher self what goes on it. It doesn't matter what Wiccan books say, Kemetic books say, Nordic, German, Straga. Even if you go by Christian books and want to make a prayer closet, which is actually an altar, but a prayer closet, you don't go by none of that. This is between you and your higher self, first off. So you put anything and everything that you want to put on there. And then you just sit back over time and you spend time with it. You say prayers to your higher self. And after a while, you'll start noticing that you're putting more things on, but you're taking some things off. I'll say, and give it about 6 months. This is not an overnight process. Just like even if you know who your ancestors are, building a relationship with them, especially when you're not raised in that particular environment, it takes a while to get to that point to build a relationship with them. So what you want to do, like I said, give it about 6 months. And after 6 months, look at your higher self altar. Notice the common factors. Is there a lot of Is it African based? Is it Oriental based? Is it like Chinese, Japanese, Asian based? Is there a lot of dragons? Is there a lot of wolves? Notice the common factor on there. Now, once you notice the common factor, go and study that common cultural factor. Now, once you start studying that common cultural factor, more than likely one or two deities of that culture is going to speak out to you. Now, this is not saying that you don't have your own favorite deities that you work with. This is something totally different. More, like I said, more than maybe one or two is going to speak to you of that particular cultural deities. And I'm sorry, being said, I lost my train of thought. Oh, you'll start getting more information. Go look for books, websites, anything on that culture. And the more you start looking for that culture, start thinking about that culture before you go to bed. And as you start thinking about for that culture as you go to bed, you'll start to have dreams. Make sure you drink a lot of water, a lot of coconut water. You want your body very fluid before you go to bed. Not to the point where your bladder's about to burst. No. You don't want it. You don't want to go to bed on sodas and sugars or nothing like that. You want it, you want everything fluid and flowing. And this will help you bring more dreams where people in your dreams from your ancestral line will start talking to you. What will happen is they'll start coming to you from the cultural aspect of the community aspect. When you work the opposite way and go from your higher self down to your direct bloodline, what happened is they have to go through the old ways. In the old ways, there was a big community. It wasn't just your mother and father. Everybody was your mother. Everybody was your father. Everybody was your uncle. Everybody was your sister. Everybody was your brother. So when you get to that aspect, they'll start coming to you as a community. And then as you start relating to them in the dream realm, and then remembering their names as you wake up, and start also connecting that to your higher self altar, putting things on your higher self altar that they actually put on. And you'll know, it's like an inner knowing. You'll know inner knowing who's there and who's not. The more you work with your higher self, the more your higher self will say, no, that's not them, this is them, and they'll help bring to you, and you'll start be able to see your spirit guides too. Because your higher self will show you spirit guides in your dreams. Or it may be a daydream, it may be a vision. Or if you see spirits, you may start to see them, they may start to materialize to you. Anyway, you go through it that way. And then as you go through it that way, they'll start going backwards further down the line towards your actual direct bloodline. They may not take you all the way up to your parents. They may take you to your great-grandparents or your great-great-great-parents. They may go that far, depending on where you're at in your mindset in your life and how you feel about, being on your own, being raised on your own, being raised in orphanages, being raised in foster homes, or being adopted. Depending on how your mindset is, will depend on how close they take you to your most recent bloodline. But yeah, as you go down there and you start adding ancestors that way, then you can go into whichever culture you feel comfortable in, or how that culture dictates that you honor your ancestors. But you kind of got to do it backwards to get there. It's not impossible, and this is not a question, honestly, that I've been asked, but this is something that every time I see a video about honoring your ancestors, I've always had, and I've never seen no one answer. And in talking to my spirit guides, they basically told me, I know the answer, and the reason why I know the answer is because, like I said, my family's not close whatsoever. My great grandmother died when I was 15. My mom's mother, we was never close. My great aunt, who I love dearly, just recently passed away last weekend. And so with all that going on, there's a lot of ancestral information lost, and because my family is heavy Christian based, and they don't study the Bible to the extent that I study it. Asking them about this stuff is like, what? Why do you want to know? You don't need to know all that. So this is how I had to do it in order for me to get the information. And then I would go back, and then, of course, there was other questions, how you know this person or whatever. But now I'll just say a name popped in my head. But anyway, now I'm rambling. But yeah, this is, if you're adopted, if you're in the foster care, been raised in foster care, if you don't know your family at all, they died when you was really young, this is the way you can start contacting your ancestors. Start with a higher self altar. Then as you start breaking in the other communities into your higher self altar, when you get to the point where you have more than 3 community members that have come to you, and you start not knowing your spirit guides, if you don't already know them, separate the altars. Keep one altar for your higher self, and then make an ancestral altar. At that point, you want to separate them. And that way, Once your higher self has, because what happens is when you put the offerings and stuff on your higher self altar for these people, your higher self will let you know if you do not have enough intuition built up or enough connection to your intuition built up to know for a fact whether this person is lying or not. When you put that offering on your higher self altar, or wherever they ask on your higher self altar, your higher self will let you know whether that person is really in your bloodline or not, no matter how far back or in your ancestral tribal line or not, no matter how far back it goes. You'll find it broken, you'll find it on the floor. Your higher self will let you know this person ain't for you, this person is not of your ancestral line. That's why I said put it on your higher self altar first. Then after you get 2 or 3 that your higher self agrees with, make a separate ancestral altar. Put all this stuff on that ancestral altar, and then start working with whatever tradition you're going with and what they say to do for an ancestral altar. And they will guide the other ones in that's supposed to be there. And if one try to come and ain't supposed to be there, the same thing will happen again. That's pretty much it. And I just felt like really, I don't know, I just felt like really, it's just one of those things that every time I watch a video like it, because I like to see different ancestral altars. I'm very eclectic in my work, so I like to see different ancestral altars, how different people celebrate their ancestors, and, you know, everybody always says the importance of it, but no one ever says how to do it if you don't know your direct bloodline, and I just want to put that out there so that you know, okay? Everybody stay blessed.